what I'm doing is giving my garden a good tonic. As well as feeding the soil, I'm also helping the environment. And the product that I'm using is called Sear Rock Dust. This new and yet ancient product, we believe, has got an important role to play in not only feeding the soil, feeding the compost, helping the environment, but also in improving our food. Now, to tell you more about this, I'd like you to meet a few pals of mine. The first ones I'd like you to meet are Moira and Cameron Thompson. Now, I first met them when I was recommended to visit an isolated spot up in Highland Perthshire. And here I met Moira and Cammy, who'd set up the Sear Centre. They'd set up the Sear Centre to demonstrate the benefits of Sear Rock Dust.
Cammy and I have had a lifetime commitment to growing crops for ourselves, for our family, nourishing our children with organic crops. We've been self-sufficient for many years. Farmers told us when we first came here that we wouldn't even be able to grow potatoes in such a harsh, bleak environment. But the proof speaks for itself here, what we've achieved at 1,000 feet above sea level. We don't use any irrigation, so our potatoes are not dehydrated at all. A lot of irrigated potatoes do become wrinkly and dehydrated because of the artificial irrigation. But these potatoes haven't been irrigated at all, and the rock dust keeps the moisture in the soil, the natural moisture, in and around the particles of rock. So these crops, though they're not irrigated, are lovely and juicy. And these crops are full of natural juices and natural sugars, although they've not been irrigated. So in a drought, that's really important. We've had 14 seasons of wonderful, healthy, remineralised produce here, and the terraces have still not run out of steam. The soils here are very poor and shallow, so we made raised beds with recycled compost and rock dust. We filled our terraces with this mixture, and we are still producing bumper crops year upon year without adding any more rock dust. Well, these vegetables, they speak for themselves. Beautiful, perfect aroma. You can certainly smell it anyway. Got some Brussels sprouts here, the size of apples. Now, we don't force or pamper these crops. They just grow naturally outside at 1,000 feet above sea level on a Scottish hillside. Now, if we can do this here, we can do this anywhere in the world. Incredible yield, incredible vigour of the plants. Shelf life's incredible too. These plants were all harvested in October, several months ago, and they're still solid, no dehydration, no mould, no signs of going off. They're perfect to eat. And this is the rock dust that does this. It makes the foods dense in nutrients, and they are delicious.
So let's get to the root of it all. What is Sear Rock Dust?
Sear rock dust is 420 million year old stone, volcanic stone, containing 2/3 of all the known elements, minerals, approximately 78 minerals and trace elements. If you take a stone about the size of an orange, surface area square foot, and break it open and look inside, around the surface you'll see a dull, dead skin where minerals have been extracted since the last ice age. The rest of the stone, the core of the stone, is glitter. That's the rock dust. It's fresh, it's untouched by life, never been exposed to microorganisms or anything like that. If you continue to hammer the stone, you increase the surface area. By the time you've hammered it to flour, the surface area becomes 8 acres from a stone that size.
Dr. Peter Craig is a geologist who's tried Sear Rock Dust for himself. Does he think this crushed volcanic rock has properties to help the soil?
Well, good soil contains air, water, decayed organic material, living microorganisms, and rock and mineral particles. And it's the rock and mineral particles that we're talking about here. This geological map of Scotland shows how different areas are underlain by different rock types. Some areas, as shown in red, are underlain by granite. Some in the Highlands, a lot in the Highlands, are actually underlain by this quartzite rock. And other areas, mostly in the lowlands, are underlain by sandstone. And all three of these rocks have a very limited chemical composition. They don't provide much in the way of chemical elements for good, healthy soil development. These rocks, which are much less common in Scotland, contain a wide range of chemical elements needed for fertile soil. The right kind of rocks have a wide range of chemical elements contained in them, and these chemical elements are the ones that are present in this rock dust. Adding the right kind of rock dust will provide all the elements necessary for the healthy development of the microorganisms and therefore the plants that grow in that soil.
Well, I've also learned from Moira back at the Sear Centre that worms love rock dust.
They deposit their remineralised worm casts all over the garden, enriching the soil with accessible minerals, trace elements, carbon and nitrogen. And when you rub the worm cast between your finger, you can actually see the sparkly particles of minerals which the worms have eaten. Rock dust's nature's fertility treatment, MRT, mineral replacement treatment. You should see beneficial results to crops within one growing season.
Without measuring anything, I would guess that this is the maximum dose, 5 kilos per square metre. The minimum dose, which you would need to apply every year, is half a kilo per square metre. And then there's an optimum dose, which is 2 kilos per square metre, which you could apply every year. You apply rock dust any time of the year, and within one growing season you will see results.
Dr. Peter Craig explains about the presence or absence of minerals in soil that are producing all of these benefits.
This is a good example of a soil profile. The parent material here is made up of pebbles and sand, and the fertility of the soil above depends very much on the particular rocks that make up this parent material. And the type of material here is granite and quartzite again, which are very depleted in the chemicals needed to make good soil. And so the soil that forms from this particular sand and gravel is really rather poor.
The full spectrum of minerals and trace elements is actually depleted in many of today's soils. A staggering amount of diseases, animal and human, can be attributed to mineral and trace element deficiencies. Cravings are actually a signal from the brain that the brain and the body are not receiving enough minerals and trace elements from the food we eat. I didn't get cravings in 5 pregnancies in less than 7 years, I believe because I ate remineralised organic homegrown produce.
Sear rock dust is also organically approved by SOPA, which is the Scottish Organic Producers Association, the Soil Association, OF&G, which is the Organic Farmers and Growers, and the Biodynamic Agricultural Association, which is part of Demeter.
I've been gardening for many years, and some time ago I decided to create a vegetable garden within my existing garden. I found the soil to be very impoverished and tried everything I knew to improve the quality of the ground, to no avail. I heard or read about rock dust and decided to give it a try, and I could not believe the results I was getting after using it. I've been using it for a number of years now and would thoroughly recommend it to anyone.
So if you'd like to find out more about where to buy Sear rock dust in 20 kilogram bags, then please visit our website